What up, friends? It's Natalie Corinne with Notes from Corinne. We are back for, gosh, I don't even know. I always say we're back, but hey, y'all, here it is. It's a new year. It's 2026. So much happened in 2025. Barely recorded any episodes. Fully understand that. I'm just excited to lock in, which sounds so cheesy and cliche, and I can't stand that. And so I'm contemplating if I should even start the podcast this way. But here's the thing. I believe that the Lord is doing something new this year. I am convinced of that. And I'm eager to see it. I'm very eager to see it. But I'm really excited. I am coming fresh up off the flu and strep. Not only the flu and strep, but I also experienced hives. So to all of you, if you're watching me online, you'll see my hand here. We're on YouTube in addition to the audio versions this year. And so to those of you that may be dealing with some type of sickness in your body, I just pray that the Lord will let that come up off of you in Jesus' name. But even more than that, I pray you can hear the energy in my voice, not only because of what, just that new year, new energy, but also just Lord, I thank you for healing my body. Okay. In this episode in particular, I decided that I was going to open the year by talking about 2025. Many people jump into the new year, day one, January 1st, we lit, new year, new me. And I'm going to tell you that is absolutely not the perspective that I'm carrying with me. There's someone who actually went to the same seminary I did and got his DMin. I connected with him briefly once, but I followed him on social media for a while. Pastor John O. And one of the things that he says in his work as a former pastor, theologian, leader, is that, when people jump into the new year, they often try to treat January 1st as their new year, new me, but instead he uses January as an opportunity for reflection, and February is then when new things begin. For myself, I'm doing a mangled mixture of that. There are some intentional things that I want to do this year. I'm really just moving forward. But beyond that, I have a desire to, jump into this year jump into this first month of the year with a healthy perspective on what God is doing in my life and the change that the Lord has done, not just over the last year, but the last 3 years. And so that's what I'm going to talk with you about today, because there are some tidbits that I really think as young adult Christians, we need, you know what I'm saying? That I learned that I needed very badly, that I want to share with you. I think that's what we got. So one of the biggest victories I experienced in 2025 that was just, wow, I still don't even know what to think about it, is that I graduated from seminary. Sporadically, I record on Notes from Corinne, and I share this with you as a form of you knowing how committed I am to this. When I came into seminary, I wrote in my personal statement that my hope was to experience more growth and development in my theological understanding, that I could be more equipped to do what I'm doing with Notes from Corinne. I want you to know that I took intentional classes with Notes from Corinne in mind. An entire semester, in fact, was practically dedicated and curated, thanks be to God and the courses that were offered, to what I'm doing here. What we're doing here. And so I went into seminary with Notes from Corinne solely in mind. And of course, the Lord was like, yes, Notes from Corinne, we're going to lock in. We're going to, grow some things up, develop some things. You need to stop saying some stuff. You need to start saying some new stuff. You need to build some new processes. However, the Lord also blessed me with some new opportunities that I never could have foreseen. And so I graduated last year. And I share that because I think it is important to be vocal about your victories. That is something that I'm trying to do in this new year more. And the reason for that is because last year, while I experienced great victory to graduate with my second master's degree, I also experienced some serious sorrow and grief, partially because of the changes of life, but also because I was much more focused on the ways that I felt like I had messed up, the ways that I felt like I had failed. I hadn't recorded as many podcasts as I wanted to. There were so many things that did not go according to plan in my life. There were so many things that did not go according to plan in my life last year that I did not expect, that really frustrated me, and that contributed to feelings of a lack of confidence and feelings of insecurity in ministry and in development and in my growth. The crazy thing is that last year I preached numerous times. I love to preach. I am a preacher. I'm growing in my preaching, and I'm blessed to continue to get more assignments to preach, and believe I will preach for as long as the Lord shall allow. I think there is something on the inside of me that God has placed to share with this generation. And I was blown away every time the Lord would let it be that someone came my way, whether I knew months in advance or a few days in advance, to share the gospel. And, so last year was beautiful because I had a lot of opportunities, things that I had dreamed about, things that I had hoped for, things that I had prayed for. When I relocated to Atlanta happened. I graduated. I was able to preach numerous times across the city. I was able to grow in ministry with the church that I was serving at. I mean, great things, but I also felt like there were other ways that I was not able to function at the level that I wanted. Here's the point. Here's why I say this. The title of this episode is meant to resonate with what I'm about to say, which is, at the end of the year, actually January 1st, I made a list of the things that went well and the things that didn't go well. And the list of the things that went well was much, 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 much longer than the list of the things that didn't. But I noticed that a majority of the energy that I spent was dedicated to things that did not go well than to things that did. I graduated. I was able to preach in numerous places, connect with leaders that I admire and respect. And I was able to build new partnerships and collaborations. I traveled to Princeton, New Jersey, collaborated with the Polaris Young Adult Leadership Network at Princeton Theological Seminary. I wrote numerous articles in collaboration with Princeton for the Advent season. Some of you may have seen those. There were so many beautiful things that happened, and those things were celebrated, but they were not celebrated as much as they should have been, because I was more focused on, man, why am I not this? Why am I not that? Why am I not here? Why am I not there? Here's what I want to tell you. It's time to wrap that up. You may resonate with what I'm saying, that your energy last year was heavily dedicated, and really not, we're not even going to talk in years. A season of your life where your energy was much more dedicated to the negative than it was to the positive. And here's what I've learned. It takes energy to be negative. It requires energy to be negative. But I have been challenged and tremendously inspired, first of all, by the fact that if God called me, if the Lord has equipped me, if the Lord has positioned me, how dare I not give the attention and energy and joy to the things that God is doing in my life that they deserve? How dare I let everything that have breath praise the Lord? This is the day that the Lord has made. How dare I not function in that capacity? But even more than that, there were moments where I experienced very natural grief. I experienced, I think, some wisps and bouts of depression. When you go through transitions and changes in your life, those things are to be expected and are normal. Or, we want to talk about mental wellness on this podcast, you may be experiencing things and you realize, like, wow, I think that there is something with my mental health that I need to get checked out that's like not working out too well. In those situations, looking down on ourselves for those things is not the move. I remember I moved into a new place at the end of June. So to walk you through this really fast, a lot of things happened really fast that I could not see live in the moment. But in April of 2025, I had my first preaching assignments in the city of Atlanta. I was preaching twice on Good Friday. All right. I was nervous. It was a lot. It ended up being such a blessing, and I have to do a better job about sharing that on here, and I will. But in April of 2025, I had 2 preaching assignments. In May, I graduated. In June, I moved. In July, I had another preaching assignment. I share all that because there was a lot of moving around that was happening in my life, things that I had been praying for. And then there were also things I was like, what is all of this hellish stuff going on? When the summer hit and I moved into my new apartment, I could barely unpack my place. And I was so mad at myself. I was like, what is wrong with me? Let's get it moving. Like, let's get stuff unpacked. Let's get stuff built. I felt like you want to talk about fight or flight? I was in that freeze. What is happening? What I came to realize is that I did not do myself justice. I did not love myself well through the seasons of transition that I was going through. You think graduating from a second master's degree after moving to a new city, starting a new career, like the end of my seminary journey was almost like the ending of a whole season of my life. And I'm just supposed to pop back up, do the thing. And I didn't even mention at the end of May, I had a preaching assignment back home at the church that I was going to right before I left for seminary. That was an insane full circle moment. And I'm sitting up here mad that after all of that, I can't unpack my place, move into a new home in a new city. I'm still in Georgia, but in a new area, like all of these new feelings were coming back of moving to a new place. And I'm sitting up here mad at myself. You may resonate with this too. Here's what I want to ask you. Are you loving yourself well through seasons of transition? Are you loving yourself well through seasons where you're realizing, dang, or maybe you're not seeing, hey, it's a lot going on here. I've come to see hindsight really is 2020. But I need us in this new season. I'm not just going to say new year, but as we're transitioning into a new season, love yourself well through seasons of transition. Give yourself grace. The amount of pressure that I have found I have applied to myself through seasons of my life, through my entire seminary journey and moved to a new city where I had no family, no friends, and I had to figure out I need no church. Like I literally was building a new life here. And I'm sitting up here mad that when that season ends, I can't get up off my tail and unpack. What? And so it took me a couple months, but by I think November, a majority of my house was unpacked. My furniture was in. I'm comfortable. If you're watching on YouTube, you see my cute little corner. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all are actually this is my prayer area. And I was like, Lord, this feel kind of wrong that I'm recording here, but I think it's the right place. And knowing this is where I be meeting God, it feels comfortable to whatever. Anyway. Love yourself through seasons of transition. Gone are the days. Gone are the days where we don't. Gone are the days where pressure has more power than grace. For everything, there is a season. Gone are the days where we are not loving ourselves through seasons of transition. I did not love myself well through my seasons of transition last year. Critique, grief, and then I had a lot of faith questions. The world went through a lot last year, y'all. The world went through a lot last year. And I remember looking at God like, Lord, what the heck you got going on? Because you ain't making no sense to me. And so not only was I experiencing grief just because of, life change, but my faith was tremendously impacted. There was a stretch where I was like, God, I don't even know what to say. I don't know how to pray. I'm afraid to pray. And we're going to get into that this year. I'm so excited. We're afraid to pray. I'm afraid to pray. What am I supposed to say? You're not making no sense to me. What you want me to say? I know I'm supposed to talk to you, but what you want me to say? If the Lord has the grace to walk with us through these seasons, we must also grant ourselves the grace to walk with ourselves through these seasons, to live through them. You are human and the Lord knows that. I need you to give yourself grace to walk through the seasons of transition in this life. And frankly, living in the country we're in right now, it's a lot of transition every 5 seconds. Love yourself through seasons of transition. And that is what I'm trying to do now. That is what I'm trying to do now. That is the commitment I'm making to myself. 2025 was a beautiful year. If I'm being real, 2025 was a beautiful, beautiful year. This is the first time I'm saying that. It's to y'all. LOL. 2025 was a beautiful year. Next episode, we're going to be talking about what I'm committing to for 2026. 2025 was a beautiful year. And you know what? Whether 2025 was a good year for you or not, here's what I want to tell you. You made it to a new one. You made it to a new year. And I am of the conviction that if the Lord has brought us into a new year, into a new season, then there's something in that season that the Lord has for us. There's something in that season that the Lord has for us to experience, to live, to know. And so our living is not in vain. So keep living. I'm so glad that you're here. You made it through seasons of grief, transition, depression, difficulty, pressure. You may have experienced career pivots. You may have gone through a season of unemployment. I don't know what you walk through. A season of difficulty in your faith. God not making any sense. But here you are in a new year. What a blessing. What a blessing. And to the ones that didn't make it to this year, let us not speak negatively toward them. Let us not look down on them. Let us not do that. There are some things for which we do not have answers. What we do know is that you are here. And if you are here, I believe if I'm here, you here, is something for us to experience with God. So, I am so excited that we have made it through 2025. What a blessing and a testimony in and of itself. And I can't wait to see what God is going to do in 2026 in your life, in mine, in the life of Notes from Corinne. Listen, if you have a friend who is transitioning into this new year, or maybe transitioning purely into a new season, share this episode with them that they may be encouraged to keep on living, walking with God one day at a time. And I also want to tell you this. If you haven't already, can you do me a favor? I want Notes from Corinne to continue to grow. I want it to continue to be shared with others. And so would you mind leaving a rating wherever you're listening to a podcast, or a comment if you're watching on YouTube? If you did not watch on YouTube and you're listening, you may want to pull up that YouTube, because we got a cute little setup going on, a little situation. And finally, the month of January, we are doing a series on prayer. Y'all remember that newsletter that I started way back when? We're back with it. I've got a whole series in January written that's focused on prayer for you. Free every Thursday, straight to your inbox. All you got to do is subscribe. And we're going in on prayer this month. I believe that the Lord has moved me in such a way that going into the month of January this year, we need to be talking about prayer. We're going to be talking about faith. We're going to be talking about growth. You got to be talking to the one that's going to be walking. Take me through there. You got to be talking to the one that's going to be handling that. So please subscribe. All that is in the description of the podcast, but I just can't wait. I believe that the Lord has something for us in this new season, not just in this new year, but in this new season. And I can't wait to see it. All right. I'll see you next week.